Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome back. I'm here at the clinic. We're outside to be safe. Plus, it's a nice day. Look, in December in California, guys. Okay. So, how's it going, Monica?
Awesome.
You got a question. I love having you on because CRC Academy, the students, we get so successful from there. But this is not advertisement for that. You got a question from somebody.
So somebody sent us in one video a question saying that they want to know about the AEs, the adverse events. So how to work it out, how to report it. So we're going to talk about that.
From the perspective of a coordinator, right?
Yes.
So one of the biggest tips I have for you coordinators is read your PI or your sub-I's progress notes from that visit, because oftentimes the patients will tell the physician or the clinician their AEs and not tell you because they already told them, right? So if you don't read those things, you're gonna miss, patients said they had a headache or nausea. These are common AEs, which, by the way, okay, sponsors track your AEs compared to other sites' AEs. So if you're not reporting any AEs and the average site reports 2 per patient, you might get audited by the sponsor. What do you think about this?
And plus, it's a red flag for the FDA too. So you want to make sure, this is probably one of the biggest tips I can give. You want to make sure you educate your patients about it. Why? So that way, when you educate your patients, you tell them, look, we need you to report anything, any AE. Obviously, you're going to explain them what AEs are.
Adverse events, for those that don't know. Adverse events.
Adverse events, but what's an adverse event? So an adverse event is any untoward,
basically any medical occurrence that is negative on the patient. So anything from a headache, stomach ache, they fell and got a scratch on their knee. That's possibly 2 AEs, not SAEs. That could be the scratch itself, if it's serious enough, or it could be the actual fall. Why did they fall? That's 2 AEs there. 2 AEs, and it's not your job to determine causality. You just reporting and documenting, and it's not your job to determine severity either. Like I mentioned with the scratch on their knee. I mean, obviously there could be severe scratches, there could be very minor ones, but if the patient's telling you that, you need to report it. That's an adverse event.
Exactly. So what happened is if once the patient, so we were talking about educating patients. So you want to explain to patients what AEs are, right? And then tell them that they have to report anything that happens to them, even if they are not coming for any visit. So, for example, this patient woke up today with a headache. You want them to report that to you today, the day that it happened. So that way you can report that, you can document that, and then it's your job to follow up and make sure and know if this continues happening. And then if it's for too long, obviously you want to let your principal investigator know that the patient reported this, and so that way the site can do a proper documentation about it.
Yep.
So you want to educate your patients and tell them that it's on their benefit to report this, that is to keep them safe. Because guess what? Patient safety is always first. Okay?
Number 1 priority.
Yeah. So then obviously you're going to complete this in the AE log provided either by the sponsor or the template that you have in your clinic. And some sites, most of the sites have SOPs for this. So make sure you check out the SOPs to follow the instructions of your site. And then that's probably the most important things, I guess.
Yeah, I think we hit on everything. I'll end this with a not a story, but something I remember. My first week as a coordinator in 2005, I remember the senior coordinator there at the site was teaching me all these things, and I mentioned something about, this is not serious, why are we reporting this? She said, everything is reporting. as a AE. If the patient eats a sandwich and chokes on the sandwich, that's a AE.
Oh,
Like, obviously that's nothing to do with the drug, but that's an adverse event. So hopefully that's a little reminder for you guys. Just everything's an adverse event. You want to document adverse events. You don't want to under document them. You don't want to over document either, but I don't think there's such a thing as over documenting adverse events.
Yeah, I would like to add also that remember that you have to document this right after, even if something happens right after the patient signed the inform of consent, even if the patient has not yet taken the IP. Okay.
Yeah.
So once the patient signed the inform of consent and agreed to participate in the study, they are already enrolled.
Yeah.
So it's your responsibility and the site responsibility to document this. And if you don't document things, it's like it never happened.
And there are things where if you have to know the difference between an adverse event and something that's part of the patient's medical history. And this is for you CRAs out there as well. If the patient has high blood pressure reading one visit, okay, that either is an adverse event, or if it's part of their medical history, if they already have documentation of hypertension, it could still be an adverse event if it's an exacerbation of their hypertension, because maybe their medication is not strong enough now. Maybe they need to be adjusted on their hypertension medication. So that's still an adverse event unless the PI says that that's part of medical history.
Exactly. If you have any more questions or you want us to do a video in something, then just let us know.
Reach out to us. Thank you,
Yeah.
Monica. Thank you, everybody. crcacademy.com. Go. Bye-bye.